Now on CBC Vancouver News.
When the wind starts, things can pop up anywhere, so we don't want to be anywhere near here.
People on hundreds of properties in the Fraser Canyon are on evacuation order and alert as a wildfire chews through trees and blankets the region in smoke. Plus, the mother and girlfriend of a young boat captain feared drowned off the coast of Richmond search for answers as crews try to find the 6 missing and the vessel. And startling sight. A driver appears to be asleep behind the wheel on a busy highway in southeast BC.
You can't let the robot drive your car for you.
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Hello, I'm Dan Burritt. Thanks for joining us. A wildfire is burning out of control in BC's Fraser Canyon. Hundreds of properties remain under evacuation order as an air quality warning blankets that region. And as John Hernandez explains, wind and hot weather are making it harder for crews to get a handle on those flames.
Smoke and flame swallowing the mountainside. The Brunswick Creek wildfire growing to at least 12 square kilometers in just a few days, raging above the small community.
When the wind starts, things can pop up anywhere, so we don't want to be anywhere near here.
Resort owner Shane Findley is one of about 200 property owners ordered to leave the Boston Bar area.
We've got our animals out of here. I got most of my staff out of here. We've got cameras set up for security. We've got generators in place if the power goes down.
The BC Wildfire Service says it has attack crews on the ground and helicopters in the air. But steep terrain and hot weather are making it difficult to stop the blaze from spreading.
This area is going to stay warm and dry throughout the week. We can expect elevated winds on Tuesday and Wednesday with potential gusting of up to 40 to 50 kilometers per hour.
There's 1,500 gallons of water in here.
Lee David Patet owns a campsite about a half-hour drive south. He's opening his doors to evacuees.
Just gave out the invitation on Facebook and Hope Bulletin and telling them to come down here. We're waiving all fees. We'll put them on every inch of space our land can take and get them out of there and safe.
But the size of the fire and the speed that it's spreading has him planning for the worst.
I have a muster point, okay, right at the end of the driveway here. Everybody that's here has been all informed of what we have to do and where we have to meet. I have a water truck that's full.
Air quality advisories are in effect in the Fraser Canyon and the eastern Fraser Valley. Wildfire officials hope cooler weather, expected by the end of the week, will offer some much needed help. John Hernandez, CBC News, Boston Bar.
Let's bring in Darius Madavi for a first look at the weather and the wildfire picture overall, Darius.
That's right. So we have a number of wildfires burning across BC, just shy of 24 of them, a number of which have started just in the last few days. I want to mention one that was discovered today near Kamloops, just outside of city limits, burning on reserve land. It's been growing pretty quickly through the day today. But at the moment, officials aren't too concerned about it. They're doing a good job of keeping it under control. But it is highly visible, so I did want to mention it now. This is a grassland fire. But again, crews are on it and actioning it right now. I also want to zoom in to the Boston Bar fire and just take a look at that fire perimeter and explain a bit about why it's so hard to tackle. You can see the fire perimeter here, quite large, over 1,200 hectares. If we spin this around a little bit, you'll see how steep this terrain is. Makes it very difficult to action in person. The low visibility because of all the smoke the fire's putting off has made it very difficult to get an aerial approach as well. And of course, the Fraser Canyon being one of the driest parts of BC and often the hotspot in all of Canada, very difficult terrain to work with. Again, a lot of smoke being put off by the fire, and there is an air quality advisory or warning in place for the eastern Fraser Valley and the Fraser Canyon as a result.
Okay, Darius, thanks very much.
Thank you.
The mother and girlfriend of the man captaining the boat that sank in the Strait of Georgia last weekend are searching for answers. He is among 6 people missing and presumed drowned. Pinky Wong has more on their tearful pleas for information.
Ashley Lynn's son Cyrus Chan has been missing now for 8 days. He's a responsible child, she says. He must have wanted everyone to be safe. Chan was captain of the charter fishing boat when it sank off the BC coast. 4 aboard were rescued, all suffering from hypothermia, 2 in critical condition. 6 have not been found.
我们能知道怎么回事。
I wish my son and the other 5 can come back, said Lin, that they can all come back
我儿
safely.
子还有其他6个人，他们都能回来，平安回来。
Lin is left with her son's fish tanks, once full of catfish he cared for every night, now empty. She hopes the boat's owners can help shed light on what happened. The 6 are presumed drowned. The vessel is also still missing. The RCMP Serious Crimes Unit is now leading the investigation.
He always want to go to any lake to fishing.
Chen's girlfriend Haley Lee says she was on the boat with him fishing 2 days before it sank, when the door on the hull swung open.
然后也是后面有进水。
Water was getting into the back, she said, so we knew it might be a bit of a problem.
门有点问题。
Lee says they bailed water out in time, and Chan have flagged the issue to his boss. CBC News has been unable to reach the boat operator. Top Vancouver Fishing Charter, a person who answered a call to the company, declined to comment. At the docks where Chan set off, a memorial and tributes from friends and family.
At least I feel like there were so many people were miss him, and everyone trying to stay together.
The focus now, finding the missing and answers about the tragedy. The RCMP says they expect to provide updates on the investigation later this week. Pinky Wong, CBC News, Richmond, BC.
A northern BC MLA accused of sexual assault says he wants to be tried by a jury of his peers. Independent MLA Jordan Keeley made a quick first appearance in Fort St. John Provincial Court in the morning. Keeley says he hopes to prove to a jury he's innocent of the accusations.
It's going to be going to a judge and jury, and we'll see what the next steps are going to look like. But I look forward to being able to actually prove myself innocent in court, and then hopefully my life can get back to normal.
Crown prosecutors announced the charge last month, saying the alleged offenses date back to 2024, before Keeley was elected to the legislature. Keeley will make his next appearance in BC Supreme Court in August. A special prosecutor has been appointed in that case. A woman has been killed after a crash on the Sea to Sky Highway on Sunday. The collision shut down the highway in both directions north of Lions Bay for 8 hours until it reopened early Monday morning. As Alana Kelly shows us, one witness who was driving on the highway described seeing a police pursuit.
Guys, it literally looks like an apocalypse.
A woman is dead after crashing her motorcycle on a busy BC highway. The highway shut down in both directions, leaving hundreds of people stuck and stranded overnight.
Everyone was exhausted, hungry, tired, and we just didn't really know what was going on.
Before the crash, this dash camera footage was captured. Amy King was driving in the black Tesla. The video was taken by a man who airdropped it to King at the scene of the crash while they were stuck waiting.
I had moved right and flew by, and to the point that me and my daughter both commented on they were going quite fast. And I want to say it was about 45 seconds later that we came upon the scene of the fatal accident.
King says 2 other motorcyclists were driving behind her in the left lane.
The police officer actually moved to pass them on the right and almost took out one of the bikers that were trying to get out of the police officer's way. And that's when I went, oh my goodness, this is an unsafe pursuit.
BCRCMP says a highway patrol officer was conducting speed enforcement when they observed 2 motorcyclists allegedly speeding and driving erratically, adding that the officer left their position and moments later located one of the motorcyclists in a collision with a vehicle.
I know there will be an investigation into the cause of what happened.
BC's Minister of Transportation says it's a dangerous highway.
It is a challenging route, and we're always looking at ways in which we can improve things.
Green Party and local MLA Jeremy Valeriot wants safety improvements and more enforcement of reckless driving.
Sea to Sky Highway is not a joyride. It's a functional highway for locals and commuters and tourists, and it's not a play park for people who want to drive really recklessly.
And for the people who live beside the highway, they want speeding curbed.
I still will stand behind my assertion that an average speed control system is the most efficient use of resources.
For those who were stuck, they wanted more communication.
There was like no internet coverage in the area, so we didn't know what exactly happened, how long it's going to be.
Some people managed to turn around and find somewhere to sleep.
2 families come in, one with an 11-month-old baby, one with a 5-month-old baby. They were really happy to get off the highway and have access to a bathroom.
BC's police watchdog is investigating the collision. Alana Kelly, CBC News, Squamish.
To another story on a busy BC highway and a startling sight. A driver appearing to be asleep behind the wheel on Highway 1 in Revelstoke this weekend. As Jessica Chung shows us, it's raising major red flags about the use of driver-assisted technologies on the roads.
A video posted on social media shows a woman seemingly asleep at the wheel of a Tesla, keeping up with traffic on Highway 1 near Revelstoke on a busy Sunday.
Ignorance isn't an excuse. Just because your vehicle might come with some fancy whiz-bang self-driving technologies doesn't mean they're all legal. You still have to be in control. You can't let the robot drive your car for you.
RCMP say they're aware of the video and are actively investigating the incident. In BC, using fully automated vehicles is not allowed. What is allowed is driver-assisted technology, like automatic braking, lane assist, and adaptive cruise control. But the driver needs to be an active participant in the operation of the vehicle.
So the responsibility still is with the driver to ensure that they're looking at the road ahead, scanning for hazards, controlling the steering wheel, and to the extent that they can, control the braking of the vehicle. The vehicle is only supposed to step in to help out where the driver needs an additional hand.
Experts say driver-assisted features come with fail-safes baked into the vehicle to prevent motorists from falling asleep or getting distracted. But even with those safety measures, the technology comes with dangerous risks.
The data that we're seeing right now still points to a critical incident every about 4,000 to 5,000 miles here. So, about 8,000 kilometers, which might not sound like it's too bad because it's actually pretty good, but a human driver can easily go 300,000 miles without having an accident. So if you're not paying attention during that critical intervention that's needed and you cannot intervene, then you're screwed.
Police are reminding the public that drivers must be fully awake, alert, focused, and in control of their vehicles at all times on the road. Jessica Chung, CBC News, Vancouver.
Weeks after an electrical incident left a dozen children injured at Cultus Lake Water Park, repairs are ongoing. The park itself remains closed, though, with no reopening date in sight. The CBC's Benit Brach has more on the impact from the closures and investigation.
The water slides remain quiet at Cultus Lake Water Park. Crews are working away, but still no sign of reopening after an electrical incident injured 12 children in June. The water park says it's temporarily suspended their ticket sales, and they are issuing refunds to all ticket holders. Nearby, business owners say the slide closures and rainy weather are having a significant impact.
Summer is a very limited time for us to make revenue here. The crowds from Cultus Lake Water Park it's huge. Like they have very big impact for us. Hopefully, water slide reopen, people will come back in safe.
Kim says business is currently down by about 50%, and next door, this pizza shop says sales are down by 80%.
The water slide, unfortunately, they have an incident that affected them big time and affected us also. Well, it's unfortunate, but I'm really glad that the kids are, improving and getting well.
The children were in the queuing area for the 0 to 60 raceway slide when a railing became electrically charged. Technical Safety BC says they were left with electrical shock and burn injuries. TSBC says the initial on-site physical assessments are complete, but part of the investigation continues and it can't release its findings yet. The water park says work is underway to complete remaining inspections, repairs, and get more regulatory approvals. Health authorities say the children have all been discharged from hospital since. Until then, lakegoers are taking on other activities.
We decided to go to Bridal Falls Water Park. Instead of going to Cultus Lake Water Slides, we're going to the Adventure Park.
We're planning to just chill by the water then, probably do some paddleboarding.
It's a lesson learned for maybe all the parks out there to make sure that they're all taken care of properly.
The water park says it's hoping to reopen mid-July and new tickets will be released. Beneat Brach, CBC News, Cultus Lake.
Lightning strikes twice for a South Okanagan family. Their twin boys have been drafted into the NHL. We'll hear their stories next.
Turn them.
A German company is the winner of Canada's biggest military procurement in modern history.
I'm pleased to confirm that Canada has selected ThyssenKrupp Marine Systems as the preferred supplier for Canada's next generation of submarines.
Germany's TKMS will build 12 new boats for Canada. The deal carries an unexpected value of more than $100 billion over its entire lifespan. Prime Minister Carney announced the contract in Halifax. The procurement is an effort to meet NATO targets of spending of 5% of GDP on defense by 2035. Well, work continues to replace the aging Massey Tunnel, but the province now says it will cost a lot more and open later.
This updated budget reflects today's market conditions, inflation, project scope, and the realities of delivering a project of this size and complexity. Major infrastructure projects around the world have experienced similar cost pressures, and it's important that we provide British Columbians with transparent and realistic information as the project progresses.
The updated budget now sits at $8.5 billion, double what the province initially said. Last week, an agreement between the provincial government and the feds noted Ottawa will contribute up to $3 billion for the project. In June, the province fired the contractors responsible for building the new 8-lane tunnel. The BC government says it will begin a new procurement process with 5 separate bids contracts up for bid. The tunnel is now set to be finished by September 2031. It was slated to open in December of 2030. Well, a decade of early mornings at the rink and long drives to hockey tournaments have paid off for a couple from the South Okanagan. Their twin sons are making headlines in the hockey world. As Brady Strachan reports, they've both been drafted into the NHL and will play on the same team.
Most hockey parents dream of one miracle on ice, but for Derek and Nina Ruck of Asuyus, lightning struck twice at the recent NHL draft, as their twin sons, Liam and Marcus, were both selected by the same franchise.
The Pittsburgh Penguins select from Medicine Hat of the WHL, Liam Ruck.
Liam Ruck, a goal-scoring right winger chosen by the Penguins in the first round. And then his brother Marcus, a playmaking center taken with the team's second-round pick.
This whole experience has been unbelievable, and to be picked to the same team as him, it's crazy, and it's super special. We're so thankful for the organization to do that.
Proud parents Nina and Derek were at the draft in Buffalo to take it all in.
It all worked out. So it was amazing to celebrate on Saturday. We had a huge entourage of 20 people with us from Osuyas. So we went out for a nice dinner after and just celebrated all together.
The Rucks say Liam and Marcus started skating at the age of 2. Identical twins, the brothers played minor hockey in Asuyus and have been a package deal ever since.
We're so proud to watch them grow up. It feels like yesterday they were on the backyard rink as a 2-year-old. And it's gone so fast, and just I wish I could turn back the clock a little bit, but just watching them play with passion and doing it together it's amazing as parents.
The brothers left home at the age of 16 and played junior hockey with the Medicine Hat Tigers in the Western Hockey League, where they continued to excel, even being named to the league's all-star team this past season. Nina says their successes in hockey are the result of overwhelming support from a large extended family.
Grandparents have had to take them to the rinks. Cousins have supported them. Aunties and uncles have looked after them as well. It truly takes a village because living in a small town, we were always driving.
The perks of the new gig started immediately after draft day with a call from Penguins captain and NHL legend Sidney Crosby.
I just wanted to call and say hi and welcome, and I'll see you at paint camp.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for the call. We really appreciate it. Yeah, this is awesome. Thank you.
Congratulations, guys. That's awesome.
It's crazy. Yeah. So you can see why that was. It's hard to keep your words together.
A surreal pinch-me moment for a couple of Okanagan boys and their parents on an incredible hockey journey. Brady Strachan, CBC News, Kelowna.
A look at the day that was in Revelstoke. Gorgeous, sunny day, and as it was here, but will it last? Darius will have your BC-wide weather forecast coming up. Health officials warn ticks are showing up earlier and in greater numbers in BC and beyond. And we have climate change to blame for that. Some of the blood-sucking arachnids can be as small as a grain of sand, but can spread a pathogen that carries huge consequences for your health. CBC medical columnist Dr. Melissa Lem joins us now. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Good to see you. What is the biggest tick threat that we have right now in BC?
The species of tick that we need to worry about the most here in BC is the western black-legged tick, which is closely related to its cousin Pacific Ixodes scapularis. We have Ixodes pacificus here in west of the Rockies, and it's because it carries Lyme disease. And so luckily enough, fewer than 1% of the ticks that we have, the western black-legged ticks, actually carry Lyme disease. But because of climate change, as you mentioned, we are seeing cases rise. Between 2024 and 2025, we actually saw a quadrupling of locally acquired Lyme disease cases from 4 that year to 12 the next year. And so we have to be extra careful when we head outdoors these days to make sure we're not catching a tick-borne disease.
Before I ask you about the reminders about what Lyme disease can do, we're hearing about another tick from south of the border. I think it's called the Lone Star tick. What do we know about that one?
That's right. Well, luckily, there are no established populations of this tick right here in BC. It lives in southern, more warmer climates. Sometimes we do see a migratory bird or a large mammal bring it up here, and it can transmit bacterial diseases like tularemia or ehrlichiosis. But the one that we're worried about the most is actually alpha-gal syndrome. And this is a syndrome that you get because the tick has a certain carbohydrate in its saliva that can then induce an allergy to red meat and dairy products. And in fact, within the US, it's estimated that close to 500,000 people have this tick-borne allergy to red meat and dairy. And in fact, there's some restaurants that are changing their menus in response to this alpha-gal syndrome.
That's shocking and concerning. So this one thing, we've got alpha-gal syndrome. What about Lyme disease? Remind us, what are the concerns about that?
Well, when you develop chronic Lyme disease and even acute Lyme disease, it can cause serious long-term health issues. So it can cause heart inflammation, it can cause neurological symptoms like memory loss and severe nerve pain. It can cause arthritis, severe joint pain and debility. And it's a cause of some chronic disease and disability within Canada.
Now, we know it's outdoor season, it's summer season for people heading outdoors. We've heard some of the warnings. I remember growing up and not thinking much about ticks, at least here on the West Coast. Where do we typically run into them here in BC, and what are the ways we can protect ourselves?
Ticks are usually most active in the warmer months, so in later spring and in early summer and in fall. And in the middle of summer when it's really hot, they tend to be less active, but we usually have more skin exposed, so short sleeves and shorts. So when you head into wooded areas or areas with tall grasses or areas with leaf litter, those ticks can latch onto you. And again, thankfully, we have a low percentage of those ticks transmitting Lyme disease. Something you can do after you go to those areas or before you go to those areas is wear high socks with pants tucked in. We can make a new kind of tick avoidant fashion statement here. Also using insect repellent with DEET. And then when you get home, check yourself from head to toe, check your kids, check your pets, because if the tick has been attached for less than 24 hours, there's a very low likelihood that it will transmit Lyme disease. So a little bit of vigilance in the short term can prevent a lot of problems in the long term.
All right, Dr. Melissa Lem, we appreciate the advice as always. Thanks so much.
You're welcome, Dan.
Returning now to one of our top stories, a major step forward towards replacing Canada's decrepit fleet of submarines and to meeting Canada's NATO commitments. Mark Carney says a German shipbuilder has been chosen over a South Korean one to provide Canada's Navy with 12 new high-tech subs. The CBC's Evan Dyer is traveling with the Prime Minister on his way to a NATO meeting in Turkey.
In his speech today, Mark Carney emphasized the speed of this procurement, which is the largest defence contract in Canadian history and which also happened much faster than such purchases have occurred in the past, less than 2 years from the initial request for offers to the designation today of TKMS, the German-Norwegian consortium, as primary supplier. But he was also at pains to say that this was a fair competition. Canadian officials have shown that they don't want to alienate the Koreans, who they know will be disappointed by this decision. They say that both submarines met Canada's technical requirements, but the Germans offered a better economic package of benefits for Canada. They've talked about up to $84 billion in spending on jobs, infrastructure investment, procuring materials in Canada, and so on. So that also, they also checked the second box for Canada, which is the sort of strategic concern that Canada has of getting closer to Europe, of integrating itself more deeply into those European defence planning and procurement arrangements, which of course is something that South Korea can't offer. Of course, this is not a done deal. Today, the German-Norwegian consortium become the primary supplier, but many details remain to be worked out. And we heard the Prime Minister discuss also the process that's still ahead in those negotiations.
That process is commercially sensitive. And as always, we will not negotiate in public so as to maintain the strongest possible position for Canada. What I can confirm today is that we have already provisioned for the costs of purchasing these submarines in our fiscal framework.
Canadian officials have emphasized that if, for whatever reason, the talks on the contractual details with the German-Norwegian consortium don't go the way they hope, that they retain the option to go back to Hanwha Ocean and designate the Koreans as a primary supplier. The timing of this announcement is also very important, of course, because Prime Minister Carney now has something to take to the NATO summit in Ankara and show to Canada's allies. NATO Secretary General has said it's not enough simply to meet spending targets, which Canada has now done. Countries are also expected to show that they're spending that money to acquire actual new capabilities. And by acquiring this fleet of submarines, Canada dramatically modernizes its Navy, changes it into a much more underwater Navy at the same time, and increases its ability to patrol and defend its own coastlines in a way it hasn't been able to do for decades. Evan Dyer, CBC News, Halifax.
Canadian astronaut Jeremy Hansen has announced his retirement from the Canadian Space Agency. The 50-year-old from London, Ontario, was part of the Artemis II crew that made that historic trip around the moon in April. Hansen says he'll be leaving his position at the CSA in September after 17 years to look at new professional opportunities. He posted on X saying, "This is far from a departure. My commitment to seeing Canada thrive remains absolute. To ensure continuity in this mission, the Royal Canadian Air Force is enabling my transition into a reservist role." He says the position will allow him to support Canada's space work, and he's excited for the new challenges it will bring. A top U.S. soccer player is joining his team to face off against Belgium at the World Cup. That game ongoing right now. Something that has many soccer fans crying foul. That's because that player had been suspended. But the decision reversed, and the U.S. president now admits he called the head man at FIFA about that suspension himself. Steve Futterman is in Seattle with that story.
It's a controversy that has overtaken the World Cup. It involves a much disputed red card issued against America's top scorer and a highly unusual reversal of a suspension. And stuck right in the middle of it is Donald Trump.
Mr. President.
Today at the White House, Trump said the red card issued last week against America's top scorer, Flo Balogun, was unjust. Yesterday, FIFA suspended the suspension, invoking Article 27, which allows FIFA's disciplinary committee to delay enforcement of a suspension. But what's caused the biggest furor is the revelation that Trump last week called FIFA's president to ask for a review. Today, Gianni Infantino in a statement said, yes, Trump did call, but he said there were no promises. Infantino said he told Trump there was an ongoing process involving FIFA's independent judicial bodies. Belgium officials have called FIFA's actions astounding, saying it goes against FIFA's own regulations. Here in Seattle, it comes down pretty much to which team you are rooting for. American fans, obviously a bit biased, seem to support the decision.
Surprised, I was on my way here in the airport and I saw the news. I thought it was a hoax, but I was so happy to hear and to confirm that he's playing. This is great. We need him.
Never thought that would happen. Seems a little weird, but excited to have him back, I guess.
It's deserved. He did not deserve a red card, so it's fantastic. Changes the game. Belgium should be scared.
Belgium did file a final appeal, but this morning it was ruled inadmissible, paving the way for Balogun to play. But this has put a taint on the World Cup, and if the U.S. advances, it's likely to get only worse. Steve Futterman, CBC News at the World Cup in Seattle.
And at last check, in the 72nd minute, Belgium leads the U.S. 3-1. Russia's war on Ukraine is expected to be a main topic at a NATO summit. Prime Minister Mark Carney and other leaders are gathering Tuesday in Turkey. As Anna Cunningham explains, Russia is keeping up the pressure in Ukraine's capital.
This was a heavy night of attacks on Kyiv. Hour after hour, Russian drones and missiles seen and heard breaching Ukraine's air defences. There were huge explosions lighting up the night sky. Emergency services work to rescue those trapped in buildings hit, and the damage is clearly visible. Survivors are in shock, confused as to how they escaped alive. This intense night of airstrikes from Russia comes just before the start of a NATO summit in Ankara, Turkey. It is perhaps a sign from the top in Russia that it can still thwart Ukraine's air defences 4 years into this war. Ukraine is hoping that allies within NATO will increase military aid to maximise the protection of Ukraine's skies. President Volodymyr Zelensky posting this on social media, saying, as long as Patriot missiles remain in our allies' stockpiles, Russia is only encouraged to keep vanquishing residential buildings. The United States and Europe have enough strength to stop this terror. The EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen today indicating what the focus will be of this NATO summit. She says Ukraine urgently needs more air defence. We will discuss it this week in Ankara at the NATO summit. We know the US President Donald Trump is expected to attend this NATO summit, and he's previously been criticised for flip-flopping on this war. Peace talks have long since faltered, and today the Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov insisting that President Trump has been consistent. There are others who will certainly disagree with that view. With Zelensky's focus on the supply of interceptors for its Patriot defence system, this latest NATO summit is likely to want to deliver him answers. He will be hoping that their response can aid Ukraine in a way that avoids such devastating nighttime attacks as there was last night. Anna Cunningham, CBC News, London.
A Montreal company is now selling millions worth of communications equipment to Poland's military. It's the first company here to benefit from a pact that Ottawa joined called Security Action for Europe. As Sarah Levitt shows us, it's part of a plan to diversify the industry beyond the U.S.
It's the Orion X650.
At Marconi's headquarters in Montreal's West End, CEO Alan Cohen shows off his company's products. High-tech tactical radios meant for militaries. Now those radios will be heading to Poland.
Very pleased to see the announcement, this becoming concrete with the announcement of Marconi.
Marconi is the first Canadian company to land a contract under the Security Action for Europe Agreement, or SAFE. It's meant to bolster defense production across Europe by giving preferential contracts to European and now Canadian companies.
There'll be many more. We're stronger together.
Canada is the only non-European country to join. So far, it's paid a fee of about $16 million to take part.
It's a symbolic victory, I think, for Canadian industry as a whole.
Marconi will partner with a Polish company in the $10 million radio contract.
This is typically an industry where lead times can be pretty long when you are looking at an opportunity. SAFE accelerated that in a tremendous way.
Experts say it's about broadening the market of defense contracts beyond the United States.
We know that 70 cents spent on every dollar in defense is going to the United States. This is giving us a way to diversify our industry, diversify the markets we're selling at, and increase our resilience in going forward.
But some say there's a risk in angering the U.S. administration.
Canada's continued participation in SAFE and participation in closer cooperation with European countries risks further exacerbating that tension, which would then lead to potential other fallout in other sectors.
There is a lot of cutting-edge tech that goes into this.
At Marconi, there's pride in being the first and anticipation for what's potentially to come. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Montreal.
2 weeks after earthquakes devastated Venezuela, rescue and recovery efforts continue. We'll share a story of persistence and heroism. Stick around. Our science and climate specialist, Darius Madavi, here with the BC-wide weather forecast, and we've got the wildfire map out because we have to.
That's right. I want to talk a little bit more about that fire that I mentioned earlier, the Boston Bar fire. Again, we're expecting winds to pick up over the next couple days, which could make fighting this fire a little bit more difficult, especially given the prolonged high temperatures. We're talking in the 30s and the very dry conditions that we're expecting to see. Fraser Canyon, often dry, typically dry, but we could really use some rain right now, and it just doesn't look like there's any in at least the near-term forecast. You can see, again, a lot of that smoke being put off. I was going to mention earlier that air quality warning that is in place affecting the entirety of the Fraser Canyon and then down into the eastern Fraser Valley. One bit of good news that is going to be coming through this week is that even though we're hot and dry, the coast is being moderated by some inflow that we're going to be getting. So we're talking maybe 20, 21 by the water, maybe 23, 24 inland across pretty much the entirety of the lower mainland, and very similar on many parts of the island. And that inflow should help to clear out a lot of that nasty air, a lot of those that particulate matter into the overnight hours and into tomorrow. Over the next couple of days, that inflow should help to maintain at least some fresh air. But again, you should really be keeping an eye on those air quality warnings from Environment Canada or from the regional district, as well as any the monitoring station closest to you, which you can find on the BC website. Now, part of the reason that these fires have grown so quickly and so intensely is the ongoing drought situation in southern BC, affecting the vast majority of basins in BC. That is what has allowed the fire danger to jump up so quickly. I mentioned on Friday that we would probably see this quick jump as we return to hot and dry conditions, which has been the case, especially in the southern interior. Fire danger climbing quite quickly, as well as in other parts of the province. Temperatures are going to remain elevated over the next few days, if anything climbing a little bit higher in the southern interior tomorrow, even as they moderate a little bit on the coast. In the southeast, temperatures are also going to climb over the next couple days. And we're probably sticking with the 30s in the southern interior and many parts of the southeast right into the weekend. So be prepared for that, as well as very little precipitation. The rain that is coming in is mostly going to be confined to the more northern parts of the province. We might see some convective activity in the south, probably not today or tomorrow. For now, the lightning seems to be mostly confined to coastal areas and the Peace region, so hopefully no new fire starts there as fire danger continues to climb. But in the south, things remain fairly calm. Tomorrow, expect some sunshine around midday, and then a slight chance of showers overnight Tuesday into Wednesday.
Okay, Darius, thanks again.
Thank you.
Stories of survival and resilience continue to emerge out of Venezuela almost 2 weeks after two massive earthquakes rocked that country within seconds, killing hundreds of people. But Jorge Barrera shows us how, amidst the misery, a friend's persistence saved a family trapped under that rubble for days.
First out, 8-year-old Jade Hernandez. Then her mother, Astrid Arnaude. Saved after 60 hours, buried alive. Arnaude and Jade are now in this camp for the displaced in Caracas, sleeping here. I have a roof over my head, even if it's temporary, she says. I don't get wet in the rain, and if there's a tremor, I'm in an open space far from where I was suffering. This is Arnaude's 11-story apartment building in Caraballeda, La Guaira. She lived on the 3rd floor. After twin earthquakes rocked Venezuela on June 24th, a holiday, Arnaude, an artist and a single mother, went for ice cream with her daughter that afternoon. Then they went back home. I felt a cold coming, so I put some tea on in the apartment, cut some limes. Then the earthquake alarm went off on her phone. She saw palms swaying outside. All I could think was to grab my daughter and get under the table. I hugged my daughter, and in the next second, everything collapsed. I was crying, she was crying. My daughter was saying, "Mama, I don't want to die. Mama, I don't want to die." For a moment, she thought they would suffocate from the explosion of dust. She says that miraculously, a small breeze, a current of air, began to circulate. But there was no light. They were blind in pitch darkness. Hade Macedo was in Caracas when the earth shook and she began to message her close friends, including Arnaude.
Una amiga me dice 5 minutos antes estaba hablando con ella.
A friend told her she had spoken with Arnaude only 5 minutes before the quake hit, and she was home. After images began to surface of the devastation in La Guaira, Macedo said everyone began to worry about their friends and family there. She and her friends gathered tools, formed crews, and went to La Guaira.
Y ver cómo son las cosas aquí en el país.
Knowing how things are in this country, you have to do things for yourself, she says. They arrived at Arnaude's collapsed apartment a day and a half after the quakes. Despite being told the previous search crew found no signs of life, they began to dig. While inside, things grew dire for Arnaude and Hade.
Lo primero que le dije a ella fue, si no salimos de acá vivas.
Arnaude says she told her daughter that if death comes before rescue, they would see each other in another life. Her daughter told her that maybe they would be reincarnated as kittens. As the hours dragged on with no water and only a bag of sliced bread that they ate by making little balls, Arnaude had to take drastic measures.
Yo decidí probar beber mi propia orina.
She says she drank her urine. They had no other liquids, and she used one of her daughter's toys, a house-like cup.
Intenté aguantar las ganas de vomitar, todo, pero eso funcionó.
She suppressed the need to vomit, but in a few minutes her saliva came back. She felt stronger, but Hade was fading. Arnaude lost track of time until she heard a woman's voice.
Estaba diciendo, no, el pasillo es acá, la casa es acá.
She was saying the hallway is here, the home has to be on this side. It was Macedo. She had drawn plans of Arnaude's apartment and was preparing to tunnel in. Here, Macedo squeezes through the tunnel that would eventually lead to Arnaude and Hade and their freedom.
No podía estar sin ella, porque, o sea, no la podía.
I couldn't be without her. I just couldn't, says Macedo. I was in denial. I couldn't give up. I could not give in.
La tierra me parió otra vez, literal. O nos parió, mejor dicho.
The earth birthed me again. Literally, it birthed my daughter and I, she says. It's something I told my daughter. And my daughter said, yes, Mama, we were born again.
There's a new social media platform rolling out, don't you know? And it's only for Canadians. Find out why the app's creators made it next.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC inbox.
CBC's Musical Nooners free concert series returns. Every Wednesday at noon, enjoy an afternoon filled with tunes and talent. Details at cbc.ca/musicalnooners. And experience a weekend of culture and flavors of the world at the Surrey Fusion Festival, July 19th to 20th. With over 50 cultural pavilions, enjoy live music, entertainment, marketplace, and more. Festival info at surreyfusionfestival.ca.
A new strictly Canadian social media platform is up and running. Gander is billed as an alternative to U.S. giants like X.
And as Anise Dari shows us, the app's creators are hoping to bring a more polite Canadian sensibility to social media.
We're giving you control over your feed.
This new social media app called Gander is only meant for Canadians. It's similar to Twitter or Blue Sky, but controlled here in Canada.
They're always being drowned out. So this was an opportunity for us to bring something to Canadians and give them a space where they can feel heard under our own laws.
Most popular social networks can fall under U.S. laws, but Gander says it's using sovereign Canadian tech providers.
We are fully compliant with Canadian regulations and also all the local laws that we operate. And also it means to be fully immune to the risk of extraterritorial interference.
This Vancouver video creator says he'll give this new app a shot.
My one concern may be how the algorithm is going to be formed and how it'll be shaped and what it will promote, and it might promote wholesome Canadian content. And I hope that's the case, and if so, that's great.
But other Canadians may not bother if their friends aren't also on Gander, and the company says it knows it'll be hard to pull them from existing apps.
The addictive nature of those platforms, that's really hard to butt up against. Offering a positive space is going to take us a certain distance.
There is a certain hand-waving vagueness, almost blandness to what does it mean to have a Canadian conversation? That's not defined anywhere.
Gander says it'll make you smile, but it's unclear how restricting non-Canadians does that.
There are plenty of Canadians on Reddit. There are plenty of Canadians on X. There are protests. There is violent confrontation. There is anger. There is offensive language within Canada. So how exactly that will function, these are communities.
Gander's leadership says it will use the Canadian Charter of Rights to guide how it moderates the platform. But keep in mind, the Charter doesn't ban being mean on the internet. Anise Dari, CBC News, Calgary.
Something else to sign up for. There we are. It's good to be back with you. Doris and I have been away on various assignments and breaks, but it is lovely to get the band back together. So
it is
thanks
indeed.
for being here.
Yes.
Here you are.
Thanks for being with us tonight on CBC Vancouver News at 6. You especially.
Thank you.
You can watch this newscast on CBC Gem, our free app, as well as on YouTube and our website, cbc.ca/BC.
And us too, will have your next local news at 11 o'clock right after the National. Good to be back. Good night.